Good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday, March 19th, 1:53 p.m. Bit of a delayed start on Senate Education. We are on the last day of crossover for money committees. We will continue to have, I think, long floor days, busy floor days next week. Senator Perchlik and I talked a little bit. I'm going to do the weighting study or the weighting implementation plan floor report, just as an FYI, and I will make that change. We have another day, it looks like, with literacy. Hopefully that will leave us on Tuesday. Just want to thank everybody for weighing in so much on approps. I think some of the things in there are really transformational and prepare us well for the summer. So I just want to thank everybody for that. Let me see what else. The other thing I just wanted to mention to everyone is keep an eye on what's coming to from the House. We're going to have House members in next week, probably on Friday, to review what their bills are. And of course, as I mentioned, we'll all be invited over there, likely to present our work. I think that is it. So I guess a few other things. We are going to take a vote on H81 today. We're waiting for Senator Lyons, who's at a press conference with the pro tem. We are going to look at some language with S100. I was in contact with the chair of approps this morning. This is the Universal School Meals Bill. They know that they are looking at the financial part of this, and they are working. I think that's a lively discussion down there, but still seems to be alive. And so we'll look at some language today that we did receive from Agency of Education. This won't be new language, but it's just within the confines of the Agency of Education request, and it doesn't include the appropriations suggestions that we heard from some people. And we can always vote on this next week before it gets to the floor, and we'll incorporate, hopefully, our partners in AG on that amendment if it goes forward. And now we're turning our eyes to S13, the strike all. This is the weighting implementation plan. We have a request from the Independent School Association. Ms. Molina, welcome.
Thank you, Senator Campion. Thank you, Senate Education Committee. For the record, my name is Gabrielle Molina with Downs Racklin Martin, testifying on behalf of the Vermont Independent Schools Association. My testimony today will be really short and get you guys to your weekend, hopefully soon. So basically, Visa is requesting that it be added to the list of groups that the task force should collaborate with. So in other words, on page 5 of the bill that you passed out of, that you approved out of Senate Education, in section E, it tasks the task force with collaborating with the Superintendents Association, the School Boards Association, the Vermont Council of Special Education Administrators, and the Vermont Principals Association, and the Vermont NEA, and we would like to ask that Visa be added to that group. And the main reason why we think that's important is because one of the buckets that you have tasked the task force with looking at is recommending how tuition rates for non-operating school districts and career tech centers should be adjusted to account for the cost of educating students as reflected in the recommended weights or categorical aid. And so independent schools are really a direct and important stakeholder for a conversation that would be about non-operating districts and rates paid to independent schools. And so I think just even in light of the origin story of this bill is a pupil weighting system that had no rhyme or reason to it, and that was entrenched in law for many, many years and did a lot of damage. And the thought behind having this good conversation in this task force process and having the right people at the table is that you'll have a better outcome at the end, a more inclusive and fair and reflective process to consider these questions, particularly the question about non-operating districts. So that's the request.
Okay.
Any questions?
So you're so not on the task force, but just to be consulted during the process.
Yeah, and particularly, like I said, in section E on page 5, to be named with that group would, I think, be helpful, because once you put a group into law, even if it is just a group of collaborators, I think it has the force of law in many ways, and so for Visa to be added, I think is appropriate.
Questions? Senator Hooker, you have a question? No. Anybody have concerns with taking this step? I think everybody is to consult. Mr. Demeray, do you mind drafting that?
Happy to. That would be an individual amendment, I believe, on behalf of individuals of this committee.
Sure.
So
I'm the reporting it, but if somebody else wants to take a lead on it, that's fine. Otherwise, use my name, and then if anybody else wants to get in contact with you, or if anybody wants to add their name to it, it's more than fine. We would, so if they're voting this out, I suspect it'll be on the floor Wednesday, which would give our committee opportunity to take a formal vote on Tuesday.
okay, yeah, it's fine.
So I'll let senators reach out to you with questions or anything. Otherwise, Jeannie, if you would put this on our agenda for Tuesday for a vote.
Will do.
Yeah, and I think Jeannie has my cell and my email, so if anybody does have further questions, please feel free to reach out.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay,
Have a good
thanks.
day.
I hope you guys have the opportunity to be outside this weekend.
Thank you.
Get some vitamin D. Enjoy.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks so
Good
much.
one. Take care.
Okay. While we're still down one, should we, Jim, take a look at the language for S100?
Sure, yep.
That'd be great if you don't mind pulling it up on the screen. I don't think it's very long.
No. Let's see if I can find it.
And this isn't for a vote. This is just, this brings us back to the language that the Agency of Education requested. We'll have Jim take us through it. Senators Stars and Pearson also have it. And I just want to get it ready in case that bill does move and it's on the floor on Wednesday.
Jane, can I share the screen? I'm mute. Gene, I need to share the screen.
There we go.
Thanks. Great, thank you. I forget which one this is. Here it is. Okay. So for the record, Jim Dameray, Liz Council, we're walking through a proposed amendment to S100 by Senator Campion. It's just taking the Section 4 language in S100 and making the changes recommended by the Agency of Education. So the changes broadly are that we used to say here on line 9, determining qualification for federal funds by, I believe it said before, school districts, but now it's been extended out to LEAs, which are supervisory unions, school districts, and schools. And that's the theme throughout this revision, is to add in these other entities throughout this section here.
Jim, would you mind, I'm sorry to interrupt, just overall, would you remind us what the agency is trying to do?
Sorry, yep. So this is the Universal School Meals Bill from the Committee on Agriculture, and it provides, of course, universal school meals, which means that the application now used for free and reduced priced meals would not be used because it's not required when you have universal meals. So this is giving the secretary flexibility to develop a new form to be used to determine eligibility for that program, but also for a variety of federal programs.
So it really helps access federal dollars.
It helps access federal dollars, yep, for various programs. And so this has the Secretary of Education define what it means, what student poverty means for the purposes of qualification for federal funds by SU, school districts, and schools, determining student eligibility for various educational programs and benefits, where economic need is a consideration, like free and reduced lunches, and collecting and reporting disaggregated and student level performance data as required. So what's new here from the draft from the S100 bill that was passed out was the addition of local education agency and schools, I believe here, and B and C are new as well from the agency. And then two, the secretary will establish what student poverty data should be collected by, again, LEAs, school districts, and schools. The means by which the data should be collected and the frequency of collection. And three, determine how this data shall be reported to the agency by SUs, school districts, and schools, and the frequency of reporting. And then B says that SU, school districts, and schools shall collect data required under the above subdivision and report this data to the agency as required above.
Jim, may I ask, first of all, thank you for that. It sounds like a lot of this they could do now without legislative action?
Could they do it without? I think they probably could.
Okay.
They asked for this section. They wanted to have clarification in statute as to this because it's a very important part of providing the benefits to students and for money going to schools. So it was at their request.
Okay. No, thanks for that. Anything else, Jim?
No, that's it.
All right. If you don't mind, great. Questions or concerns about that language? My intention is to share it with the chair of Senate Ed to see if at the very least he wants to co-sponsor it. Of course, we may end up having the whole, anybody who wants to be on it would be fine, but it looks like important language. Senator Hooker?
And I guess that's been my concern all along with this, because in the beginning we heard that, you know, we needed to know who's eligible for federal funds. And if this is a way of making that clear without the free and reduced lunch forms, then I guess it's, you know, certainly something that we should do. But does this make it easier for the agency to collect that information? Would you say, Jim?
Well, I don't think it makes it easier because they now use the federal forms for collecting information, which is easy because it's in place. But that would be going away because of universal school meals.
No, I understand that part, but I know that they said that there were several areas that they get this information from. So would this language kind of consolidate that information in a form that they would come up with? I'm not sure.
I think that's the idea, but it's up to the secretary to determine how broad this is, or, you know, the language is quite it's directed to the secretary to take a view basically on how to approach this without giving a whole lot of definition for him as to what to do. So
Senator Pershing?
Yeah, I think the key part to Senator Hooker's is B on page 2, where it says that the local school district shall collect this data, and maybe that wasn't clear before, so that we make sure that we're requiring to collect it, because they didn't have to collect it for the lunches anymore. So this says they still have to collect it.
Okay.
Is it this? So it would be the same data that's being collected.
Yeah, basically income data, family.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions or concerns at this point? Okay, so we'll, Jeannie, why don't you just put this on the calendar Tuesday for a vote. We'll see what happens with the bill today as it's in approps, and then I'll touch base with the chair of education over the weekend to see if he wants to be a co-sponsor. Jeannie, are you there?
I think you mean chair of agriculture. You've said chair of education twice.
I'm
Thank you.
trying to figure out who the chair of education is, Senator
Yeah,
Campion.
actually, it probably does make sense for me to touch base with the chair of education. I feel like I'm in some kind of novel. Jeannie, did you hear me? Are you there?
I am here.
Great.
Because I'm muted and I was
Sure.
doing background stuff, I couldn't get back to unmute in time.
Okay. Yep. No
Just
problem.
to make sure I heard you correctly.
Sure.
You were talking about S100?
Yes, please. If you put this amendment, an amendment to S100 on the calendar
Yep.
for a vote.
Okay.
Great. Thanks so much. Okay. Great. So let's shift us to H81. I think this is our final piece of business for today. We have Ledge Council here for any questions, any concerns, any comments. We feel we've taken a lot of testimony. I think we've heard what we're going to hear. This will go down to approps, where I suspect the conversation will continue. Anything else? Otherwise, I would certainly entertain a motion. Senator Lyons?
I move that we pass H81 to the full Senate. It's as passed by House. We haven't made any amendments.
That's correct.
Yeah.
As passed by the House. Thank you, Senator Lyons. Discussion. Seeing none. Senator Perchlik, if you wouldn't mind taking the roll.
I do not mind. Senator Chittenden.
Aye.
Senator Hooker.
Yes.
Senator Lyons.
Yes.
Senator Perchlik votes yes. Tiranzini, do we ever hold it open, or do I just mark it as absent?
Today, I believe it will be absent. He has a personal situation he's addressing.
Okay, and the chair, Senator Campion?
Is a yes.
Okay, and it'd be 5-0-1.
Correct. And Senator Perchlik has been kind enough to agree to do the floor report. We're making a switcheroo. I will do waiting. And I think I'm supposed to take him out to dinner as well. And then I think it gets kind of equal. Okay, thank you, everyone. Any other business before us at this time?
Are we expecting 81? I know we talked about this, I'm sorry, that it's going to go to approps just for the meeting costs and things?
Yes, it's definitely going to approach and going there first. There are some that believe it needs to swing through finance. I don't know for sure if it will go there or not. Okay. Jeannie, would you mind taking us offline?